was banned last time, though,
It was.
so maybe not. In the second phase, we'll see what happens. And I think ultimately, like, coming out of that first game, there's a lot of questions about Mad Lions draft because they obviously went for this hard early game strategy, trying to play through Elyoya and take away some of Canyon's jungle camps. But in doing so, I don't feel like they gave themselves a lot of options when it came to skirmishes and fights. They went for double solo laners that had poke and range and whatnot. But I wish we could see, you know, a Zoe swapped out for something that can fight a little bit more aggressively in the team fight. A Jace for something like that Wukong perhaps could give Mad Lions still strong laning, but an option in the 5v5s.
Well, the advantage of Mad now being on the blue side means that they don't have to ban, well, I was going to say the Varus, but they're actually just going to take that one off the board, suggesting that they are looking at Lee Sin first pick. The question is, will Damwon just choose to ban it away like they did? Nope, it's going to be the Senna. So Mad was saying, right, do you want to give us Senna or do you want to give us Lee? And you would imagine that Mad will look to lock in the Lee, but I'm sure Khan is more than happy to play the Jace into it, as he has done so many times before.
There's still the Kai'Sa open that I think Damwon has first picked in this matchup, actually over on the blue side. So we'll see if Mad Lions value that potentially higher than the Lee Sin, because if Lee does end up being the choice, well, then we're probably going to end up seeing Kai'Sa plus Nautilus, Kai'Sa plus Set, something like this for Ghost and Barrel.
You have to remember, we watched Armut play the Lee Sin into Damwon Kia before and kick Canyon away on about 100 HP, which spelt the demise of their early game last time these two teams played. There is the Kai'Sa and the Udyr locked in straight away for Damwon Kia. They deciding not to prioritize the Rumble and instead going for the Udyr as their jungle pick.
Yeah, they did this. This draft is eerily similar to the last time they played. You imagine that Nautilus is going to be the next pick from Damwon. I was expecting a like Trist or Xayah Leona to come out from Mad. I think it would be really good, especially when you know that.
Ooh.
Okay.
This is what I wanted, because I was wondering, like, is it just the Rumble, or does Elyoya go back to what worked for him in the LEC finals when you're confronted with a very talented jungler on the other side that often is going to be beating you in the clearing early on? Elyoya has gone to the Volibear. Now, Elyoya Volibear, I can almost guarantee you that when level 6 comes around, it will be a dive in the bot lane timed off of a roam from Humanoid. And what this means for the Mad Lions is it is no longer about winning your lanes passively, playing the pressure game in the early game to slowly gain these early advantages, but is about finding fights and winning through kills.
Whew. Well. Oh, hang on. Not a Nautilus?
You're shocked, Vedia.
I am. I genuinely just... I mean, okay, so what I love the analyst desk talking about, and Emily specifically saying how Damwon has shown nothing yet, right? I called them predictable in the Rumble stage because, you know, we've seen all these Kai'Sa Nautilus games from them. Like, it felt like that they were drafting very similarly multiple times. We saw the Zoe, we saw the Udyr. We kind of saw the same thing from Damwon a lot. But now they're showing in the best of fives that they're willing to change up their priorities, that they do have different ideas, different plans, different picks, and they're more than happy to change things up. The question is, how will Mad do the same? Zoe has to be taken off the board, you imagine, because if it is left up, Showmaker will lock it in. We know how confident he is on it, and it looks like that we are now going to see that removed by Mad Lions.
It's also really hard to ban all the supports that pair well with Kai'Sa, because you still have Nautilus and Set, then you have Leona, right? And then you can keep going down the list too there. So they decide to forget that. I still think perhaps a Nautilus ban could be decent, but by locking in the Xayah, maybe you don't feel as bad with that choice, since of course you have the Featherstorm to try and avoid a lot of that CC.
You can also see Damwon Kia respecting the fact that Humanoid could come bot for that dive. Twisted Fate so good at roaming down towards the bottom lane with Destiny at level 6. It makes it a lot harder now for him to gain prio in the mid lane and work his way down towards a bot. Leona banned away here by Mad. Of course, they do still have the option of something like Rakan. Teams up very well with the Volibear if they are looking for their support.
Could it be a world where Mad is asking Damwon to pick Nautilus and they're thinking of a Braum?
That works.
Possibly. I think I would be surprised to see the Braum come through. I think Braum does work very well into Nautilus, but when we're already seeing like a lot of divers on the other side and Xayah as a champion that can play back on her own, I would much rather see something a little bit more aggressive coming alongside. I think like something like the Rakan perhaps could be quite good at trying to dive the backline and punish off of early roam.
It's only because after watching RNG series yesterday, they actually put a surprisingly high value on the Braum, specifically into Udyr and Xayah. And I feel like when you're looking into that matchup, it's a great way in team fights to actually mitigate a lot of that dive power. And it seems like Mad have the same strat as me.
For sure. And what this effectively means is that now you have Kaiser that has to take more of a back foot in team fights, and then you have Elyoya and Armut. Those are two divers already that can try and seek out the back line. But this is, I like to see this. The Silas coming.
Yes.
Forget that Zoe garbage. These are champions that want to get in your face. We're talking 4 melee champions here, guys, that want to get in your face and brawl, and you've got the Gnar ultimate. You love to steal that away from a Gnar. I actually think I remember a MSI semifinal where there was a Korean team versus a European team. And there was a Silas counterpicked into Gnar, and it ended up going pretty well for Faker. The ults, at least.
He lost that game, though.
He did lose that game, but he had some sweet ults.
He did certainly have some sweet ults. Maple doing the same thing yesterday. We'll see if Humanoid can replicate that performance. He did solo kill Showmaker today, along with Armut solo killing Khan. And to be fair, Kazi and Kaiser did successfully 2v2 kill Ghost and Beryl before Kazi ended up giving away his life. So Mad are clearly prepared to skirmish and fight Dam1. And I feel that this draft gives them a little bit more skirmishing and fighting than their draft did last time around.
So much more. And I think for Dam1, you have a lot of ability to scale back, play more for the team fights here, but you have to worry about the dives that come in, both bot lane and top lane too. If you find a timing where Gnar is in mini form, Lee Sin kick plus Volibear turning off that chart is a huge combination for a ton of early damage.
Do you think Dam1's comp outscales? So on paper, I sit there and I look at the Victor and I think, okay, in terms of flat damage, yes, I can also see Kai'Sa, but I think Kai'Sa's ability to dive with this comp is actually a lot harder, especially when playing into things like a Braum and a Lee Sin. On top of that, I imagine Lee should actually have a lot of prior on the side lanes too. So I feel like that the scaling is not quite as one-sided as it was last time round.
Definitely, it's not cut and dry either, and I think that you also have to consider like Humanoid stealing Gnar ults in pretty much every fight if they are a little bit more spaced out is so insane when it comes to locking up the backline. And the question is less to me about which side outscales. The question is, can Mad Lions have the target access into the backline? Can Humanoid and Armut specifically find Showmaker? Because once we get past, 3-4 items into the game, it becomes Showmaker that outscales pretty much everything he sees, but he has to have the space to be able to deal the damage.
And once again, onto the Rift we go for the second game of the semifinals. Mad Lions torn up the strategy book, brought out a new plan for this game. They are ready to get down and dirty and skirmish with Dam1 Kia, who are playing a very similar style to every other draft we have seen from them here at MSI. And it's worked for them pretty much every other time, so no real surprises there. Early on, both teams just going to set up lines of scrimmage. Importantly, Kaiser has gone back and picked himself an Oracle's alteration, so could clear out any vision that was put down by Dam1.
So far, nothing too crazy. Standard line of scrimmage as you highlighted, Medic. And I'm wondering if there are any potential delayed invades. Pings are coming down. Mad do have a very strong level 1. Braum, level 1, is my favorite thing in solo queue. Yeah. When enemy blitzcranks walk into your jungle and you're like, you think you have a stronger level 1, but I have a Braum. And it looks like that for now, Kaiser's just going to sweep, deny any potential vision. So
is Beryl going to place the ward after he comes in for the side? Well, support diff.
Yep, support diff. Beryl has won the most important battle so far as he gets the ward down. Canyon's going to start on the top side without a leash. Elyoya will do the same on the top side himself. Kazi and Kaiser pretending to leash here, using mana, well, just using spells, taking a bit of damage to make it feel like Elyoya has started on the bottom side.
And what this is going to do, right, is you assume now, if you are Dam1, that it's a bot-to-top pathing from Elyoya, and top lane needs to worry about around the 3-minute 15, 3-minute 45 mark. Instead, what Elyoya could do is look for a gank before he even goes for the Scuttle Crab. So maybe he does those 3 topside camps and maybe a red buff as well, and then looks for bot lane around level 3. That could be really, really deadly, especially if Mad Lions communicate that Ghost and Beryl do not actually walk into River to place a ward of their own.
You can see slowly starting to stack up a wave. We'll hit that level 2 first. Same for the Dam1 bot lane.
Well, Beryl has the concussive blows down here. Heal already used by Kazi. Ignite going down as well. There's the stun, but Kazi won't have the damage to chunk through Beryl. Level 2 now hit for the Dam1 bottom lane. They're winning out these early trades.
And this could be really good, getting the bot lane volatile for Elyoya to come in. But notice this, there was a ward placed by Showmaker on the enemy Raptor camp. With that early priority, he will put that one down. So Elyoya is trying to get around this. But now, Dam1 have to almost feel like something, but something feels wrong. Yet Elyoya is going to get here on a good timing.
And Yo-Yo coming in. We'll look for the stun. There's the root. Flash forward. The hook goes out. Kazi's already dead. Ghost next on the menu. You have to feel concussive blows will stun him up, and Ghost will fall 1-for-1 in the bottom lane.
That was insane from Beryl. The response and reaction time required to catch Kazi out there was fantastic, because Mad's whole game plan, Ender, you were talking about it, the setup, everything was all about trying to get an advantage in this bot lane 2 versus 2, where they can shut down Ghost and Beryl. But Kazi, by flashing in to set up that route, Beryl was then able to land a hook, and they were able to get a trade kill. While that kill did go on to Beryl, Kazi losing out ends up being a huge win for Damwon.
Well, it's a 1-for-1. Damwon get the first blood, so it's more money. And Elyoya slowed down his jungle clear. So now Canyon has done his entire jungle. Bot side crab, he's going to get a double crab. At the same time, Elyoya still hasn't even done his Krug, so you can see it right here. Beryl says, we're going for it. As soon as Karzi loses his flash, there's nothing a Xayah can do. Karzi is punished for starting off the fight, for bringing the aggressor himself, and it's coming off of game 1-2, where Karzi also, they had an early 2v2 kill. Karzi sticks around, gets solo killed. This cannot continue for the Mad Lions.
And Canyon now gets double crabs, gets deep vision into the Mad Lions jungle, and Damwon Kia are just so far ahead. You've got a 3-camp lead for Canyon over Elyoya. You have summoner advantage for Ghost and Beryl in this bottom lane. You can see only a small gold lead for them right now, but that will build as this wave begins to push in.
Yeah, and I think the summoners still being on Ghost and Beryl is actually the worst of it all, because you could say in the Mad Lions, oh guys, we traded down, obviously it wasn't great for us, but the game, there's still a lot of room to get this scrappy style that we're looking for. But no, we don't have our flashes, they do. You can't really look for a gank around bot side anymore.
And look at this ward that's also been put on the Wolves as well. Like, just, you talked about it, Medic, that control over the top side jungle. Damwon just have all the information. Canyon is now a level up. He's hovering around mid. Elyoya now looking for a gank, but he's going to get spotted out by all this vision.
Humanoid going in, lands the abduct. They're looking for Showmaker, trying to chase him down. Showmaker doesn't have the mana. Elyoya flashing forward. They're looking for Canyon now. Gravity Field coming down as the TP comes in from Damwon Kia. They're trying to turn it around. This mid lane fight. Khan jumps in. Elyoya goes down. Damwon with their second kill of the game.
Damwon able to fire back in mid. They read the play. They're able to turn it around and get yet another kill. And now Canyon, does he want to look for a bot lane gank? No summoners, like you said. Him and Beryl playing in the fog of war, but Karzi and Kaiser are giving the respect they need to.
Oh my word, Damwon, every single play, every plan that Damwon come up with, Mad come up with, Damwon is able to punish, and now Ghost losing a lot of health, but it's simply a bait.
Armut does have TP to join this fight. Beryl's going to be healed up by Ghost to try and get away. Beryl still has the flash. He flashes over the wall, and that is a TP burnt by Mad Lions for nothing, whereas Damwon got a kill out of this.
So much invested in the mid lane too. Like looking at, I think Elyoya flash forward, stunned a minion, not able to find that onto either Showmaker or onto Canyon. It's just 800 gold, but it's 6 minutes. Very, very meaningful, especially when you look at the gap starting to widen in the jungle and the mid lane. 2 lanes that we said were going to be such a focal point. Now Showmaker has no mana, so this should be good, you'd think, for the Mad Lions. But look at that flash, stuns a minion. I don't even know if it necessarily matters. I guess if he hits it on Canyon, maybe he's able to escape from it, but the TP came in sooner.
X-Flash, hook, Kazi still no flash. Does have the heal, he's trying to get away. Canyon going in, gets the stun, and Kazi will fall. Almost manages to take out Beryl in the end, but in the end, it is a double for Ghost. Damwon Kia are taking every skirmish that Mad give them, and they are slamming the door in their face.
It's just punish after punish from Damwon. They know that the bot lane doesn't have any flashes. Remember, all the way back to that level 1 play, or level 2 rather. It's just simple, beautiful execution, great timing from Damwon, complete and utter control.
And this is where I feel that there may have been a better choice in the Braum, personally. Because if you look at that initial play in the bot side, Karzi used his flash to land the CC. Because he has a Braum, because he doesn't have a Leona, a Nautilus, something like this, a Rakan perhaps, and well, they've been punished consistently ever since that point. A double kill now for Kai'Sa, and Kai'Sa is one of those champions that can completely take over a game, especially with the Nautilus next, where Ghost can now, once he finds fights with that killer instinct, lock down any mistake, any player from the Mad Lions that goes too far forward.
You just feel like the game's already over. You know what I mean? Like with the control that Damwon have, with the skirmishing, and now Canyon is making his way up towards the top lane.
Armut's already used the safeguard to try and get away. Does have the kick, does have the flash here, but Canyon's on the chase. Khan has a flash of his own, no mega build up, flash kick. Armut invests both his ultimate and his summoner to get away from it. And I agree with you, Vedi. It does feel like Damwon have this game now in the palm of the hand, but how great is that to see? Damwon Gaming lost 2 series in the LCK across the entire season. They didn't lose a single game in playoffs, and they continue to put the pressure down, but Mad are trying to respond. Ghost shut down by Kazi. Next on the menu is Beryl, as he is stunned up with the concussive blows, tries to get away, but doesn't have the flash. Remember, he walks back. In the end, he will fall here. Kazi just needs to put those final autos down, locks the Featherstorm, and locks down the kill. Mad Lions able to strike back in the bottom lane.
Completely shocking there, too, in the pure 2 versus 2, while Canyon's trying to do the Rift Herald. They didn't even see the start of that play and how it ended up panning out in that manner, but now they've got level 6 in the bot side, didn't even necessarily need those to get those initial kills, and it's Karzi walking out of the 8-minute mark with a gold lead.
I guess the irony of this is that, yes, when Damwon made that gank bot lane, they had no summoners, but now the summoners are all back up, and then you have this huge summoner spell advantage because Damwon invested everything, and they know how powerful their 2v2 can be. So, as we can see, Damwon have no summoner spells available to them. Damwon say, let's engage this time, though, onto the Braum, and Kazi has direct access onto the enemy AD carry, with which he obliterates Ghost. Just a well-played 2 versus 2 from the Mad Lions bot lane.
I will say, that's poor from Beryl. Like, you should not be engaging in that situation. You can just walk around, join up with your AD carry. You know you don't have summoners. That was a greedy play from Beryl, but Mad Lions were able to capitalize on it and get themselves a kill. Ghost now rooted up, flash forward from Kaiser, they're looking for him. Concussive blows are going to land with Glacial Fissure as well, and Ghost is down. Kaiser takes the kill. And just a moment ago, I was praising Damwon for their ability to control the game. Mad Lions are having none of it.
After fumbling at the start, Karzi and Kaiser are stepping up. And what a journey it's been for them too, because they've been so inconsistent all year long. Now at this MSI, they finally found their footing. They were performing. And after game 1, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the old them. But no, they have their high highs, and you see it right there once again.
Kazi and Kaiser basically said, okay, enough of the plans, no more shenanigans, we kill, okay? We keep it simple, and we just go for the fights at every opportunity, and this is what they did a lot during the regular season. Often it ended in disaster, but for bot lanes that perhaps are not used to it, it can catch you by quite surprise. Beautiful execution from Kazi and Kaiser. The question is, can they convert it into anything else? The gold is now slightly in their favor. The jungle matchup has now equalized in terms of farm, even though Canyon does have a CS lead. Mid is even top advantage. So when earlier we said, I feel like the game is now locked and done for Damwon, I now feel like the game is dead even once more.
Look, Canyon has a gold lead. Canyon's level 7. But Elyoya is something better than level 7. That's level 6 with Volibear, because now he has access to be able to dive under those towers. And because bot lane has been so volatile, you could look there. Perhaps he's playing for the Drake. It doesn't seem like Damwon want to even play around bot side, which was the focus just a few minutes ago. And instead, with Meganar, making sure Khan can get into the tower.
Canyon does have the Rift Herald if they want to try and crack through these plates. Still got a couple of minutes on that. The wave is gone. Tempest is very strong. Here goes Elyoya, though. Beryl just joining up with his teammates. Going to get spotted out by the Oracles. And Elyoya can go straight in. Winner's bite. Beryl does have flash. He's going to try and get away. Concussive blows has been procced. He's been stunned up for the moment, but continuing to step forward. Ghost puts the damage down. Winner's bite hits onto Beryl as he is forced away. Kazi's going to push in the wave as Beryl and Ghost will rejoin their minions and try and clear out this wave under tower.
A rare call of patience for the Mad Lions, not deciding to go for the fight. Now Khan does have access to teleport, and Armut was just a few seconds away from coming away with that one, and with Karzi still trying to push in the wave, that's why we saw Elyoya not committing his ultimate to get the kill onto Beryl. A TP from Khan would have isolated Karzi away from the rest of the team, and Mad Lions would have lost. Still a good trade for them.
Armor going in.
Damage.
Elyoya's clearing out a control ward. Canyon, that Rift Herald's going to expire pretty soon. You've got like 30 seconds left on that Rift Herald before you have to place it. If Elyoya can keep him around for the moment, perhaps he can stop Canyon from getting that one down. Canyon's going to turn his eyes towards the red buff as Ghost dives in onto Kazi. Locked up, 2 more autos is enough for the concussive blows, and underneath the tower, Ghost goes bye-bye.
What is he doing? He's going in. He must not have seen Kaiser there in the bush, because he pops out and turns it around. And forget everything I said. I'm on board with the Braum pick, man. It is punishing you. If you make mistakes against Braum, you die every time. And we've seen it twice in a row now.
Herald used in the top lane. Khan tanking this one up. Dragon's Rage coming out. Armut misses the Sonic Wave. Khan will tank it up for the moment. The Rift Herald will charge in. Armut survives the 2v1 on the top side. Elyoya is going to join in just to try and stop Damwon Kia from getting this extra play. Elyoya still on the chase. Armut does have TP if he's able to get back and TP into the fray, but decides for the moment that he wants to save that summoner.
I will be honest, it feels like Damwon are scrambling right now, because when we think about that top side, Canyon hasn't actually gained any CS within the last like 2 to 3 minutes. He has just hovered around top. He took Krugs and he took Red, and that was it. And he hasn't actually accelerated his gold lead at all. He just wanted to use this Herald topside as his bot lane died over and over and over again. And let's have a look back at this play. So he just gains information on him. I don't know.
So in the LCK, Ghost and Bevel were the weak point for Damwon. They fell behind in the laning phase. Their team fighting is impeccable. Their team fighting is godly, but
did they int? Did they do that?
I mean, we've watched Bevel this tournament. I think inting is a word that you could say for some of his plays.
Well, we could also say the same thing for the Mad Lions.
Exactly.
To be fair. But to be fair to the Mad Lions bot lane, they are definitely stepping up. Big question marks for Ghost around that play as, Beryl just barely able to get away from that one.
Is able to make it on out of there. It is interesting though, because you look at the top teams, the teams left in the tournament at this point, everyone said in the regular season, in their regions, bot lane was the problem, but it's been so volatile in all of their matchups. It feels like they have almost been catapulted into being focal points in these series, in these best of fives. So Carzzy and Kaiser versus Ghost and Beryl, something we have to continue to track as this BO5 develops.
Carzzy currently 1.3 thousand gold ahead of Ghost. Gale Force is complete on the Xayah. The question is whether he'll be able to survive when we get to the team fights, where Damwon are traditionally so strong, historically so powerful. It becomes harder and harder for Carzzy to survive. First Dragon of the game was taken around the 14-minute mark, which means we are a long way away from a soul. And as Damwon want to get that victor up towards those 3 or 4 items, that favors them greatly.
Now, pings have come out from Mad up towards the top side of the map. Elyoya and the squad are aware of Canyon stealing away these camps, and I was going to say Humanoid just went back to base to potentially TP up top, and you can see Elyoya hovering around. He wanted to cover for Armut in the event of a dive, because now Mad are looking to swap back up towards the top side. They're looking to play for the next Herald, so they can break open that mid tower, but as our observers highlight, there is a ward behind them, but no TPs are currently available for Damwon. So I imagine Damwon, given that Ghost is going to be late to the party, I don't expect them to fight for this, especially given the item advantage that Carzzy does have. But let's have a look.
Yeah, I mean, with the Rift Herald, with the Polar Bear Ultimate, you have so much pressure whenever a wave is building up and being ready to crash into a tower. So this is something that is going to be weighing over the heads of Damwon side laners for the next couple of minutes, no doubt. They have to be on point. They have to have vision to see when and where the Mad Lions are going to be coming from and attacking, because Elyoya has to be itching to make use of that ulti. He looked for it in bot lane a few minutes ago, didn't end up pulling the trigger because of TP advantages on the side of Khan, but now with a big wave on top side, Carzzy, Kaiser, and Elyoya can walk this in and deny the Ghost.
Now, Mad are doing exactly what Damwon did last game. They opened up the bot tower, obviously slightly differently compared to how it happened, and now they're rotating the bot lane around the map. Ghost is the one that's actually being suffocated of farm and experience. He is 30 CS down, and he is down a level as well. Humanoid finds himself in a 1 versus 2, but is just barely able to keep that tower alive, and then what Mad will look to do is gain control of a topside vision. They are just emulating exactly what Damwon did to them, and they're looking to gain control. And I feel like that every time Damwon did lose games, it was when they didn't have that same early game control. But the question is, can they come back in team fights? Because Ender, you said this in draft, Showmaker really will be the star of the team fights later on. He hasn't struggled in the early game. He has been that consistent factor that has completed his first item and will continue to ramp up as the game progresses.
And it was the question of, could Humanoid or Armut actually get to him in the backline? Could they outplay him? Well, we haven't really seen them enter the server at all just yet. It's been very slow. Humanoid just about to lose his tower, and now Mad Lions are actually in a really good position, because Humanoid's getting battered down in mid, just down 16 CS, but losing out on that turret. But because both side lane turrets have fallen, now Carzzy and Kaiser can come to mid lane and try to regain control over the center of the map, sending Armut bot lane and sending Humanoid up into the top side lane.
Elyoya sitting on that Rift Herald as well. Can hold on to that. You've got about 4 minutes from when you pick it up until you have to place it down, and they could wait for the Ocean Dragon, which is up in 2 minutes time before you use it. That mid lane turret, very healthy. Showmaker has pushed Humanoid back in that lane throughout the entirety of this game, and so is a long way from falling. At the moment, only Beryl will defend. Ghost is off in the top lane, trying to get himself some CS, some solo XP where he can. There's the Rift Herald used. Armut looking for a flank here. Lands the Sonic Wave onto Beryl. Cannon coming in as well. Yoya diving forward. Beryl low. Kaiser stepping in with the Glacial Fissure. Khan doesn't have the Mega Stormbringer's going to stop that turret from doing any more damage. And Kazi able to pick up one. Pops the Feather Storm to keep himself alive. Tower falls. And Mad Lions are able to go in, batter down the door, get a kill, get the tower, and now perhaps they're looking for a little bit more. Humanoid does have a flank. Ghost is not with his team right now. Armut's still looking for a position to get in. Sonic Wave available. Kaiser stepping in, gets the Sonic.
Humanoid on the flank!
Humanoid has a great flank position here as Beryl is the first target. Ghost diving in, the Killer Instinct. Khan with an arm into the wall, but Humanoid survives. Mad Lions get out alive, and they pick up 3 kills.
Mad Lions went in deep underneath the tower, ran away, pulled the switch up, and then punched Dom1 down again. The outplays in the 5v5 is exactly what we wanted to see. The scrappy nature of this composition wants to keep you interested, wants to keep you on the edge of your seat, looking for just a little bit more damage. And ultimately, it's Mad Lions with the term, and Humanoid waiting so long patiently for that flank to come away with the teamfight win.
And you start to see a few more smiles on the faces of Mad Lions, this team that at Worlds last year was the first major region to get knocked out in play-ins. We'll have another look at how they beat Dam1 in this fight in the new Axe Effect replay.
So I think this dive was too aggressive. I think Mad was so close to actually throwing here, but Kazi is able to come up clutch. Great positioning of the feathers, holds onto his ultimate as well, and then Elyoya saving his ulti for the tower until the second half of the fight. Now the re-engage. Khan and the gang are trying to push in mid-wave and actually threaten something, but then the flank comes in from Humanoid. He steals away the Gnar ultimate, and Ghost just doesn't have the damage to kill Humanoid. I'm not sure if he actually even leveled up in that fight or not, but you can see how weak Ghost is, how he couldn't really contribute anything, and Mad was just able to pull Dam1 into their playground.
And Humanoid only did 234 damage, but he was keeping Ghost off at bay on the other side of the fight. Now the Ocean Drake has respawned. It is Mad Lions first to the river, as it seems like they nearly always will be. Xayah, one of the best champions to post in mid lane. She can cut down the wave with the feathers before it actually connects, so they get that wave in, they get the Drake on top of it, and Humanoid's even trying to take camps away from Canyon on the top side map, giving Dam1 no ability to cross map.
Wow, and now we'll see how Dam1 can bounce back, because in all of their games versus Mad, they have always had the early game control. It has been clean, crisp, well-executed play, where it's always been like, well, Mad just don't have the mid game that Dam1 do. So how do they contest them? Well, Mad now have a sizable early game lead, and now Mad is the one pushing Dam1 back and showcasing that they too can go toe-to-toe with some of the best in the world, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they've locked everything in just yet. We've seen Mad throw leads like this before. We even saw it in the final versus Rogue. They were able to get huge leads like this and then end up falling behind anyway and not being able to close things out. So I would never count Dam1 out just yet, especially with their performance so far in this tournament.
Very important to notice where the lead is for Mad Lions. It's just Karzi with a gold lead over his opponent. Kaiser too, but we forget about the supports for a little bit. And, well, he has the ultimate. Very good to stay safe. There's not a ton of dive threats on the Dam1 side, so you'd say if he has ult, if he has flash leading into a fight, it should be very hard for him to fall. But if Dam1 are able to single him out or zone him away, that could be tough.
Khan is on his way towards Mega. Showmaker has a TP of his own. Armut looks for the Sonic Wave, can't hit it. Khan goes in, diving onto Armut, kicked away with the Dragon's Rage. Meanwhile, Elyoya is just clearing out Vision off towards the top side, but the hook comes down there looking for Kazi. Showmaker knocked up with the Glacial Fissure. Kazi able to dodge away with the Gale Force. Feather Storm, Feathers fly. Kazi trying to survive. Gets out towards the back of it, but the shutdown comes out for Showmaker. Elyoya will fall. The hook lands as well, and Kaiser all left alone. Taken out. A great play from Dam1 to strike as Mad trying to make a play on the other side of the map.
And this is what we were talking about. Dam1 is resilient. They will look for these opportunities, and they are able to shut down where the gold lead lives. Kazi could not get away, and Dam1 see a great opportunity. So this is a 4 versus 3 because Ghost is on his way down. And look at Showmaker in the backline. Zero threat onto him, does huge amounts of damage with the Chaos Storm and the Death Ray, and Kazi feels like he has nowhere to escape to. Showmaker is able to get a 950 gold shutdown as Ghost is able to sidestep, and it ends up being a 1-for-3 trade in this fight.
And you must question, why on earth are the Mad Lions 3v3ing for a Raptor camp while they're teleporting 2 people into the bot lane to get a kill down there. Obviously, Ghost comes in at the end, and he has the killer instinct, but you have to take that into consideration. You are not allowed to make these kinds of mistakes against the reigning world champions.
Damwon, when you make a mistake, are so good at taking everything they can away from you. There was a 3,000 gold lead not a minute ago, and now it is only 1,000 between these two teams. There's 2 items on Ghost, Kraken Slayer, Phantom Dancer complete. Showmaker has the Morello and the Liandry's and is on his way to a Void Staff with that Blinding Jewel. He is in such a strong position, and when we get towards these next fights, the fights that are always dictated by neutral objectives, by Baron, by Dragon, a Victor has so much zone control against 4 melee champions on the other team.
If we have an opportunity, I'd love to look at the gold once again, because as Ender highlighted earlier, Kazi is where all of the gold currently sits for Mad Lions, but Showmaker and Khan actually had advantages. Now, after that kill onto Khan up towards the top side, you can see that's closed a little bit, but look at that. 2k gold advantage for Showmaker in the mid lane. Ghost is still very far behind, but as long as Showmaker lives, Damwon is not out of it yet. And I just have to echo back to exactly what Ender said. Can Mad get on to Showmaker? If they can win the fight. If they can't, then that fight definitely looks like a way in which Damwon can come out ahead.
Very important that Mad Lions are first the objectives, utilizing their priority over mid lane with Karzi posted there, and that they can choose the battlegrounds at which they fight. Of course, Mad Lions, so many good zoning control tools themselves when you think of Karzi and the Feathers, and of course a Braum too. You can choose your battle lines accordingly. Now, as for the rest, you have you have humanoid players that want to look for flanks, and that is ultimately how you get into the back of a fight. So watch Humanoid down here in mid lane. He wants to come in from an angle. Armut playing in the Fog of War as well, while 3 hit the Baron.
Baron being started up. Damwon Kia don't really have the vision to go in. Armut hooked.
Humanoid
in.
has Gnar.
Beryl there. Gnar for Humanoid. As you say, the flash available. Humanoid diving forward, looking for Beryl first. There's the gravity field. Beryl almost low. Armut's going to be able to help Kazi get that kill. Now Canyon has to flash away, and Mad Lions all able to walk out for the moment. What have we got left? Armut has no flash, not too much health, does have the TP, can rejoin his team if he so wants.
And Khan just lost that Gnar ultimate. Humanoid gets to hold on to it for a little bit longer. Khan trying to frantically hit the mid wave and try to get the Fury going back and ready. But now Armut has teleported back in. Humanoid can do the same very shortly.
Mad are just buying time. They know the 3rd Drake is up and alive. They don't want to fight for the Baron right now. Elyoya has spotted out Showmaker. He has a rough position. They know that Khan is isolated, but Khan is going to respect it. Here comes the TP now from Humanoids. He hasn't decided to invest it yet, because if he can, he wants to run back to join his team. Hold on to that. And it looks like that for now, Damwon, they're not going to overcommit. They're just going to give up the 3rd Drake of the game. Once again, a little unfortunate for Mad that it is the Cloud Soul, but those ultimates still very valuable. Silas, especially for the Braum and the Xayah as well.
And just the base movement speed you're going to get from it as well with 4 melee champions. Target access is king. Melee champions often are better than range champions when you're on top of them. That is the basic gist of it. And now Canyon's camped in the jungle.
Armut has to try and jump away, kick onto Canyon, disengages the fight. Mad Lions just trying to gain control of their own jungle if they can. Khan with the Gnar, knocks back Elyoya, but there's the Stormbringer. Oh, exchanged. Damwon will step back towards the Baron. Humanoid split pushing,
He's
does
still
have
balling.
the TP.
Look at the TP ward, though, outside of the Baron pit. He could come on a massive flank with that teleport if he wants to. Has the full wave push on the bot side, but Mad Lions are walking into the Fog of War.
Here comes the TP. How much is left on that Baron?
3,000.
Kaiser dives in with the Glacial Fissure, looking for the damage here. Elyoya stepping in as well, but he has been hooked. Kazi's going to dodge with the Feather Storm. Khan off towards the
Kazi!
And Kazi manages to secure the Baron. Now the fight really begins. Kaiser's going to try and get away. Keeps Humanoid alive for the moment as Khan knocked back. The abduct doesn't quite hit. Armut down. Ghost able to get a double kill in this fight, and Humanoid's just going to try and survive if he can. But in a 1v5, he will lose. The knock-up from the Stolen Nautilus will get him a counter kill. Only Elyoya survives as Kazi secures the Baron.
Oh my word. Mad are actually able to steal away the Baron, but at what cost? 3 members died, 2 members of Mad still have the Baron buff, and Damwon is looking to siege. I don't know if they're going to be able to break into the base, but with 3 members alive, they can make a damn good go of it. For now, it looks like they're just going to disengage. And Kazi ends up stealing away the Baron. My word, this boy is stepping up in this game.
How did it even happen? Either there's two junglers right there, there are smites up, but Feathers are just a little bit better. Carzzy battling back after dropping at 3 minutes into the game. Been so pivotal in the fights, but it is still Damwon walking away with the victory. So in this new Axe Factory replay, we'll see what ended up happening, because Carzzy, just with the Feathers on the pullback, I imagine. Oh my God! He redirects the ult Feathers with the flash. That's beautiful, but at what cost? He does sacrifice his life, and we've already mentioned if Carzzy dies, there is no team fight for the Mad Lions.
And Humanoid's ult wasn't up yet. He wanted to steal away Khan's ult, but he didn't have access to it. It wasn't until now that it comes off cooldown that he's then able to use it onto Khan, but he committed so much into getting that kill that he ends up trading his life, and Ghost gets a triple kill off the back of it as well, which means the Ghost is now firmly back in the game. That early deficit doesn't mean anything, and the game is basically dead even. It's all gonna come down to these team fight executions. And I keep my eyes on Showmaker. His damage is pivotal. Ghost, as we mentioned earlier, back in the game as well. These fights are not going to be as easy as they once were.
Looking at it, Carzzy still has a 2,000 gold lead over both Showmaker and over Ghost.
Oh,
but
he has an Infinity
Ghost has
Edge.
definitely
Okay.
picked up. Yeah, Carzzy is looking very, very strong, but then you compare Showmaker, and he's got a similar lead over Humanoid that Carzzy has over Ghost. So Carzzy still the main focal point for the Mad Lions, but he has to play picture perfect in the fights. Again, if he falls, so do the chances of Mad Lions.
Both AD carries are at 7 and 4 right now. Yes, it's 3 versus 2, but you can see in that last fight how impactful Ghost was still able to be, cleaning up a lot of the kills, and Showmaker yet to die in what has been a chaotic game between the two teams. Game 1 was already over at this point.
Yep.
We were moving into the post-match analysis. But Mad Lions changed up their strategy and are now fighting back. The Cloud Soul spawns in 1 minute's time. The Vision Dance now begins. And we're going to see who is able to come out on top.
I mean, so many times we've seen Damwon Kia in this position. So many times, Worlds last year, early on in this MSI, in the LCK. They are the best team fighting team in the world, and the game is basically even right now. 1,000 gold between the two teams at a 30-minute point doesn't matter a jot. Damwon trying to step forward and gain control of this river. As you said earlier, Betty, it's only a Cloud Soul, so not the most impactful soul in the world. Damwon could decide to give it up if they so wanted.
It's very important the Mad Lions are the first ones into the river. And looking at, again, Armut or Humanoid playing in the fog of war. So many times we see when it's a soul fight, the blue side team, their top laner or someone tries to get over that wall around the enemy Gromp camp, get that flank, play in the brush over there, and that's how you make it into the back line. Now, Flash will return for Showmaker right when this objective spawns, but Ghost will not have his. Carzzy will also be wanting for just a couple seconds, so Mad Lions may want to slow things down just a touch, so Carzzy has that defensive option.
Armut's just came off cooldown. The flash kick is a very real possibility. Cloud Dragon spawns. Beryl is dead! He just face checks. He's the only one that can do it, and already he is down. Damwon now have to give up the Cloud Soul, and Beryl once again oversteps just a little bit.
Beryl, you can't just face check like that this late into the game. Like, obviously you're not listening to us, but you could probably press tab and notice, hey, Carzzy has 4 items, man. You are not tanky. Like, that was such a huge mistake giving up that Drake, and what else is it going to give is the bigger question.
Well, right now,
stepping in.
Yeah, I mean, Damwon are just zoned away here. What's Canyon running in for? What are they doing?
Glacial Fisher onto Showmaker, but here's the Gnar. He's kicked away. Khan kicked away before he can Gnar anyone into the wall, and already it's a double kill for Carzzy. Ghost diving in with the instinct as well, but Humanoid is here. Ghost, the only one alive underneath the tower. Khan getting chased up towards the top side. Here comes Beryl back, but the Humanoid shutdown comes out. Ghost is down, Khan is down, and Damwon are down and out. You have to feel. Mad Lions retreat away from the Nexus towers and will turn their eyes towards this inhibitor.
It is a 4 versus 1, and it is only Beryl left in the base. 20 seconds on Canyon. Mad Lions could very well look to go for the finish.
At 5 minutes in this game, we said it was over. We said Damwon had the win, and Carzzy said no. 2v2 after 2v2 kill in the bottom lane. Mad Lions have out-team fought Damwon Kia and will even up this series at 1-1. Canyon tries to do what he can in the end, but Mad Lions will secure the win.
A big win for Mad, and a much needed one when it comes to momentum. Damwon had such a dominant performance in game 1, But in game 2, the bot lane of Mad showed that they are fallible, that they can